participants, you need the cover letter for the participants, and then also you need your instrumentation, your instruments for questionnaires or survey. That is if you have that type of research, right? But definitely everybody needs a completed application form, right? The application process has been modified a little if you have done it before. Now we require you to do a research risk assessment, and this will classify your research in high, medium, or low risk, right? And if you click on this, you would just end up with a short 5-question Google form, and all you need to do is click on what is applicable for your research and enter. It's very important that you enter the title of your research, right? You need to enter the title of your research, right? The same title that you will use when you upload your documents, right? So after you have completed your application form and completed that research risk assessment, you would select the type of student you are, SCIT or SOE or staff. You will select where you want to upload. So for example, you guys are SCIT students, you click on here, and this will carry to a Google folder. And this is where you would create a folder titled with your title of your project. In that folder is where you will put all your documentation. That is your as outlined here, the application form, consent form if needed, cover letter to participants if needed, and instruments if needed. Right? So all these documents will go into your folder. Right. The review process is this. All applicants or applications must be submitted 3 weeks prior to the date of the meeting. All right. So how do you know when is the date of the meeting? It will be here under your application updates. The next meeting is, today was the last meeting, right? So when this date is here, you need to apply 3 weeks before that date for your application to be seen in the next meeting. Very, very important. If you are 1 day late, your application will not be seen until the next meeting after that one. All right. There are a lot of people applying, so we have enough applicants. All right. So please follow the process and everything will be fine. So after your application has been reviewed, if it's been approved, you will be contacted that it is approved. You also need to look at your folder, right? Because your folder will be updated with a certificate form, right? The certificate form looks like this, and it will require a declaration from the investigator, right? So when you see this form in your folder, you will need to sign it, right? That is if your application has been approved. If your application has not been approved, right? If your application has not been approved, then what will happen is that you or your supervisor will be contacted in terms of what might be needed to change or what might need to update it in your folder for the application to meet the standards that we require. All right. So you guys need to continuously check your folder, but we will try to inform you when your application is approved or not approved, and what are the next steps that need to be done. So after you have signed this declaration, in short order, you will receive your certificate, right? And this is a certificate that will be placed in your project or your research. All right. So let's get back to the presentation here. So all that I've said is here. Ensure that all your documents have been submitted. If you are missing documents, then we cannot approve your application. All the documents have to be submitted. All right. A part of the application process is filling out the form, the application form. And the application form has certain questions. Please try to fill it out as best as you know. The forms are here on the website. Here we are, your application form. And you just need to download this and fill it out. All of these information here, principal, supervisor, student researchers. If you have more than 2 student researchers, well, this is for postgrad, for undergrad. If you have more than 2 researchers, you just need to amend it here. So that is, you just use the same format here with the student name and ID, and just do duplicates of that. All right. So all of these questions need to be filled out, aims, significance. Your form has to be filled out in full for it to be considered complete. All right. So if something is not applicable to you, please write not applicable. All right. So all these questions have to be completed. All right. For groups that don't have human or animal subjects, are not dealing with personal data or any biohazardous issues, you will still need to tell us about how you will store your data management and your analysis. Right? You also need to tell us about yeah, that's it. Yeah, your data management and analysis. You still need to tell us the information on how you plan to store your data and how you plan to analyze it. All right, even if you don't have human or animal or any of the classifications are considered as high risk. All right. So the main point is you need to fill out your form fully. All right. All right. So we went through what happens in the folder. The folder goes, the faculty committee reviews it, approves or disapproves. If it's approved, you'll be informed. If it's not approved, you'll be informed, and you'll also be informed of what is lacking. So as you can see here, the project supervisor will be sent an email. Sometime the primary person on the form would also be sent an email. All right. Important. Please try to check in with your project supervisors. All right. This is why we are trying to put not only supervisor, but probably one of the students, because sometimes there is a delay in communication between the supervisor and the students. All right. The second one, try to routinely check your folder. So if somebody is checking it at least once a week, the information will be updated in your folder. All right. So please try to check the folder. All right. And if your application is not approved, right? You can also give us an email, send us an email. If you have updated your folder, right? So if you are not approved, and we send you that you need to do, for example, add a proper consent or a cover letter. When you have made your changes, you can drop us an email to say that you have modified your application so that we can take a look at it for the next meeting. All right, so Ms. Muir, should I take questions?
Hi, Mr. Baker.
Yeah,
Yes.
that's all right.
Okay, thank you right, for coming and for presenting to our students. Sorry I didn't make it to the meeting earlier, but
no problem.
But really appreciate you coming and speaking to us. Can you, I didn't hear all of your presentations, but can you tell us the deadlines, please? Depending on the type of project that the student is working on. So we have some students who would work on they're building something like a web application. Probably it's displaying just statistical data. It's not interacting with persons directly. Would those get a faster consideration than, say, there's one student who is dealing with a project with blind persons. So they're going to be talking to persons from Society of the Blind, and they're also going to be doing an experiment with them. Right? Can you tell us, what the processes are, if they are different or the same?
They are all the same. As long as your application is made 3 weeks before the meeting,
okay,
it will go through the same review process time. All right. There are some special cases where the process can be expedited. However, it's still tied to the meetings. So the faculty meeting versus the university ethics meeting, they will still have to go to those meetings. All right.
Okay, thank you, sir. All right. Ms. Muir, I'm not hearing Ms. Muir, but are there any questions from the student body? From Mr. Baker?
I have a question.
Go ahead, Nescafe. Yeah.
So how soon should this be done? Is it like after submitting our major project application with the concept note, etc., then we move forward to the whole ethics process, or
as long as you're able to fill out that ethics form properly, I would assume that you would have been in the latter part of your proposal to be able to fill out that ethics form, because the ethics form does require information like methodology. So you would have to be in the latter part of your proposal to have that information. So as soon as you're able to do that, you can apply.
Okay, sir. And where exactly is this link for the ethics site? Is it available to us as yet, or?
It should be. I'll make this presentation available to everybody. Think Ethics is a Google site, so if you search for that, you should be able to find it easily. But I'll make the presentation available. So let me see if I can just put it in the chat. Any other questions?
Question. Do you accept e-signatures?
Yes.
Okay.
All right, so everybody then, no more questions? Everybody is okay and ready to submit their applications to Mr. Baker? Sure, there must be a few more questions.
I have another question regarding the submitting it 3 weeks before a meeting. Is it this meeting or a different kind of meeting? I'm not quite clear on that part.
Come on, that meeting is when the faculty ethics committee meets, and that is here on the application dates, the next meeting. So that meeting was today. Right before I came to you guys, we had a meeting. So you can just check here on the date. So as long as it's 3 weeks before that date, then you're good for that next meeting. Because it's in that meeting that we will decide on review your project.
Okay, thank you.
So that date will be changing later. So if you come back tomorrow or later, you will see a different date. So you need to make sure that your application has been put in before that date. And if you miss a date, it does mean that it's going to be reviewed at the other meeting after that.
Every time I see something like that, I remember it fell on Jordan.
I was trying to upload the link to the folder, but what I'm going to do is just copy the link to the website in the chat, and you guys can just go from there. Alright, so that's the link to the website, and all the information you need is on the website. Alright. If you are curious about the university's research policy, it's also here. All right, where we have the presentation. So the presentation and policy is there, so you guys can look at that. All right. The forms are on the forms. The review process is here, and everything that you need to know about uploading your application is on the upload application page.
What happens if your application has been rejected?
So again, if your application has been rejected or declined, we would inform you, well, your supervisor, and hopefully one of the students, and to what the issues are, and we will await for you to make your changes and reapply. Well, not reapply, just make the changes in your folder, and then you email us to tell us that you have made your changes. And then you go back to the review process.
Okay.
So very important, all applications have to come through here. This is the only way that we can accept applications for the Faculty of Engineering and Computing. Other faculties have different ways, but for FENC, it's only through this website. So you cannot send your application to your supervisor. You cannot send your application to your lecturer. You cannot even send the application to me. It would only be accepted via uploading through this website. Any other questions?
Let me ask a question. Is there, not Mr. Baker, but all the students here who are doing major project, are you in a WhatsApp group for skit? I know the rep, I'm not sure if the rep is here, but they normally from year to year keep a WhatsApp group. So if Mr. Baker wanted to send, reach everybody in an instant, just checking. You're all in a WhatsApp group from the student union?
Yes, sir.
Okay, excellent. All right. All right. I just asked the rep, the, the acting skit rep to post the link from Mr. Baker in that group as well. All right. Because we should have 100 and something students doing major project. Probably about 150 or so. All right. Thank you. All right. Any other question for Mr. Baker?
If we have inquiries while doing the application, or we need some clarity on a particular section, etc., who do we contact?
Contact your supervisor.
Did you say something, sir?
Yeah, oh, you didn't hear me. I said you need to discuss with the supervisor in filling out that form because the supervisor actually has to sign that form. Okay. So your supervisor should be able to help you with that. If your supervisor is also in difficulty, then they can contact me. But your supervisor also needs to sign the form. Review and sign the form. All right, if there is no more questions. Dr. White, thank you for having me.
All right. Thank you very much, Sir Baker.
All right, and
and
you can contact me
yes.
otherwise.
I know. Really appreciate you coming. All right, students, no other questions for Mr. Baker because he's about to run. Are there any other questions for him? All right.
All right. See you all, or see your application soon.
Hi, thank you, Mr. Baker, for joining the meeting. Guys,
Thank you
if
for
you have
having me.
questions, we will invite Mr. Baker again. Thank you, Mr. Baker, for coming. I see, so you managed to present as well as ask question and answer. Sorry, I'm in another meeting at the same time, as I told you guys, everybody before. So if that is the end of your questions for Mr. Baker as the ethics chair, I'm going to close the meeting and start it again at 5:30, as I told you all, because I'm in another important meeting, and I'll see you at the next major project meeting. And I'm going to invite you all to have a good evening. And if you like, you can rejoin at